Disclaimer: I am not a game developer, designer, programmer, or creator. I am not a professional by any means. I am just someone who likes horror games and enjoys analyzing the things that I like. Also, this video may contain flashing lights, some disturbing content, and spoilers for Little Nightmares 1 and 2. Hey, I'm Taster256, and welcome to The Search for the Perfect Horror Game, a series about the study and analysis of horror games. I was going to talk about the joy of creation today, but the voices in my head won't shut up about cannibalism, as per usual. So instead I'll talk about Little Nightmares. Both of them. I've seen that there's a third game coming out, but I want to talk about the games now, so sucks for the third game. Who knows, I may cover it in its own separate video. Anyway, I'm going to be looking at the first two games and how they have fantastic monster designs. Little Nightmares was released by Tarsier Studios on April 28, 2017, and tells the story of Six, a child? I don't know. Whatever Six is, they wake up in a little hole in the wall with a sudden urge to start moving rightward. Solving environmental puzzles, they come across many different threats that will cause them bodily harm, some more visible and obvious than others. As they move forward, they face multiple threats in the too large for them world, also learning about the nature of their world, and have to deal with an unknown entity which seems to be behind everything. Little Nightmares 2, also released by Tarsier Studios on February 11, 2021, has you playing as Mono, as they once again explore a too large for them world, this time with different threats and environments. And also, an ally who could maybe be a friend? I don't know. I want to start by quickly specifying what I mean by monster. For the sake of this video, a monster is any perceived or real danger to the player or what they deem valuable, which is not just a part of the environment. Now, that is just a general definition, and does not work for everything. There are multiple examples I can think of where the environment itself is an active threat, and those I would also count as monsters. This definition is more so suited for this video specifically. So all the different enemies are considered monsters, but things like trapdoors or this weird eye doorway thing are not, as they are more of an environmental threat rather than a monster that you would have to deal with. Feel free to argue with me in the comments if you want. This video will already be out by the time you post the comments, and even if my opinion changes, the video won't. There are three main monsters I want to talk about for the first Little Nightmares. They are the janitor, the twin chefs, and the customers. The twin chefs are first, and there are three parts to each monster's design I want to talk about. First is how it looks. I think the twin chefs are visually the most terrifying in the first game, mainly because they're wearing masks, and so I want to know what the ever-loving fuck is underneath. But anyway, their designs are fitting for the location, and the game as a whole. They are made very imposing by how wide and tall they are in the relatively small areas, and how much they tower over you. And these fuckers are fast as hell, zooming around from place to place. There are multiple ways of making something look visually scary, and I'm not going to get into it very much, as it is a very subjective thing. There are many ways to go about it, from the uncanny valley, to a lot of gore, to many other things. But I feel to really understand how to make something look scary, you need to look at the other two aspects I want to talk about. The second aspect is how it acts. Your monster can look scary all at once, but if all it does is run at you when it sees you, it's not very memorable. In this game and the sequel, every monster works in a different way. Some may act in similar ways, but they are not the same. Take the customers for example. They do just kinda chase you, but there are quirks to how they work. They are generally immobile, so simply getting out of one's reach can make you safe. Just make sure you are actually out of their reach. They are also incredibly easily distracted. By simply going out of their field of view or putting some other food closer, they will lose interest in you. But this isn't consistent. The way they act will change throughout their section. As they put more effort into reaching you, they get distracted less, and you end up with this terrifying point at the end of the section where they just become a tsunami of fat racing after you, leaving you with nowhere to go but forward and no time to think, only to act. Also are the mannequins from the hospital section of Little Nightmares 2. They are your typical moves when not looking threat, but with a twist. It's not you looking at them that affects their movement, but rather a source of light on them. And considering there are many mannequins around, and you don't know which ones will move, you will be on edge, waiting for a twitch that'll give away their location. The mannequins are also a good example of the third thing, how a monster fits into its environment. They are located in a dilapidated hospital. At this point, you have yet to see any real threat in the hospital, and you have the quest of finding two usable fuses to access this elevator. Solving a smaller puzzle leads you to the right, where Six helps you into a dark room. Looking around, you get chased by this sentient mannequin hand, eventually killing it by bludgeoning it with a hammer. Using that fuse, you go off to the left, opening a door to an area with many metal bars blocking off different areas. Another boost from 6 gets you into this situation, with a mannequin blocking the way forward. To get past it, you must turn off the lights, letting it chase you so you can get past it. This is the presentation side of it working with its environment, because although the mannequins aren't particularly scary in their own, maybe a little disturbing, the fact that you have to actively let them chase you and get way too close for comfort makes them a more memorable threat. And they aren't even the main threat of the hospital. That's not all there is to be said about the monster design, though. The janitor also has fantastic design, which plays into how it acts and how it fits into the world around it. The most notable thing about the janitor is its long arms and otherwise short build. This immediately makes it feel grotesque and makes you feel unsafe, as you can't evade it simply by going up higher into a small hole. It will reach you there. The second thing is how it acts. This is a sound-based monster, due to the excess of skin hanging down over its eyes, effectively making it blind. Once again, grotesque. The third thing is that the environment is dark, with everything being very vertical. This thing has short legs, but can reach higher than is OSHA safe to balance. This only emphasizes how small you are in the game, and makes you feel on edge in a dark, difficult to traverse area with a threat unlike what is usually seen in most popular horror. On top of that, the area is immensely quiet, meaning that any noise you make is that much more noticeable, and that makes you feel even more helpless, since doing anything is a huge risk, and you must hide not visually, but audibly, putting you in an uncomfortable situation that you wouldn't deal with in most other horror games. Another aspect that is much harder to do well, but is very good at allowing unique situations, is how the player interacts with their environment. What I mean in this case is the camera angle. You are not in first person, but rather a fixed third person. This allows you to see more of the environment than you would in first person. This is most noticeable when it comes to room transitions. At many points, you watch as a monster goes to the place you need to go, so you need to follow them. But the camera won't show you what's ahead of you, so even though you're going through a well-lit open doorway head first, you don't know what you're going into, and end up on edge, having to sneak through just to be safe. One last example, my at least favorite, the school teacher. So something that Little Nightmares 2 changes over the first game is that each area has not just one big main monster, but also a smaller group of monsters. The city has the viewers before the Thin Man, the hospital has the mannequins before the doctor, and the school has the porcelain bullies before the teacher. You first get to see the teacher as a silhouette while dealing with the bullies, and you can definitely see something. You continue on, 6 gets kidnapped, and you go off, using a hammer and your surroundings to fuck those bullies up, and eventually find yourself here. A locked door behind you, and the teacher, in a room full of bullies. Sneaking through, you get a good view of how she looks. Weirdly human compared to everything else in this world. Going through to the next room, you grab a key, but knock over a shelf, leading to this. Holy shit. Escaping, you find yourself trying to work around the teacher, learning how much reach she has in this place. It's horrible. Even though you are stories above her, she can still stretch her neck out and look for you. Getting past her, you get through more bullies, rescuing 6 and deciding to escape. But you must get through her one last time. And you end up in this room with this chase. This is the only character in the game who can chase you into the vents, and I hate it. Not only does she look unusual with a terrifying neck, her movements are jerky and erratic, making it difficult to move around her. She can reach you anywhere in the school, making this whole building into a terrifying death trap. Little Nightmares, released by Tarsier Studios in 2017, follows 6 as she travels through the Maw, dealing with its dangers. Little Nightmares 2, released in 2021 by Tarsier Studios as well, follows Mono as he and 6 travel through the Pale City, dealing with its threats. Overall, they are fun games, though they are not without their problems. Sometimes the design is unintuitive, with it being hard to tell what's part of the puzzle and what's part of the environment. And sometimes the solutions to the puzzles are weird, and I feel like I wouldn't be able to figure them out without looking the solution up. As well, sometimes when I die, The checkpoint puts me back far enough that it's annoying to have to redo part of the puzzle to get to where I died before, only to die again because the camera angle made it hard to tell if my movement was good. I will say though, those moments are generally few and far between, and when the game is good, it is great. Obviously, I love the monster design, but the design of the world as a whole is amazing. It feels like what Hello Neighbor wanted its art style to be. Despite the fact that this is mostly colorless and dark, I actively enjoy looking around and seeing the world. The world feels warped and distorted in a way that gets across the feeling this place is not made for you. And the gameplay itself is enjoyable to play, especially in 2. Fighting enemies is a struggle, but in a way that adds tension, not annoyance. Overall, I rate Little Nightmares a 6 out of 10, and Little Nightmares 2 a 7 out of 10. Although the gameplay itself isn't scary, hence the lower rating, the world never loses the intention of its horror atmosphere. So although it isn't a very scary horror game, I still think it's a good horror game. However, due to it not being scary, I am giving it a lower rating. That was the monster design of Little Nightmares 1 and 2. Genuinely a fun series of games, and I look forward to playing Little Nightmares 3 when it comes out. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you know of any way I could improve, please let me know. Either way, please have a great day and stay safe. And no joke to end this one, I just want to say that Mono holding Six's hand as they walk together is absolutely adorable and it makes me so happy.